Hey there, let's talk about something that's been on my mind lately, emotionally detaching from someone. It's a tough subject, I know, but it's so important to understand how to do this in a healthy way. Because the truth is, sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we need to create some distance between ourselves and another person, whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, or even a family member. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not talking about completely cutting someone out of your life. That's not always necessary or even advisable. What I'm talking about is learning how to set boundaries, how to protect your own emotional well-being, and how to avoid getting too caught up in someone else's drama or negativity. So let's dive in. The first rule of emotionally detaching from someone is to recognize when it's necessary. This can be tricky because our emotions can cloud our judgment. We might feel loyal to someone even when they're treating us poorly. We might feel guilty about pulling away even when it's the healthiest thing for us to do. But here's the thing, you have to trust your gut. If you're feeling drained, anxious, or unhappy after spending time with someone, that's a red flag. If you're constantly making excuses for their behavior or trying to fix their problems, that's another sign that you might need to step back. The second rule is to set clear boundaries. This means communicating your needs and expectations clearly and firmly. It might mean saying no to certain requests or invitations. It might mean limiting the amount of time you spend with someone or the topics you're willing to discuss with them. The key is to be assertive without being aggressive. You don't need to be mean or confrontational, but you do need to be direct. Remember, setting boundaries isn't about punishing the other person, it's about taking care of yourself. The third rule is to focus on your own growth and happiness. When we're emotionally entangled with someone, it's easy to lose sight of our own needs and goals. We might put their desires ahead of our own or neglect our own self-care in order to be there for them. But the truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, you won't have anything to give to others. So make sure you're prioritizing your own well-being. Pursue your passion, spend time with people who uplift you, and practice self-compassion. The fourth rule is to let go of the need to control the situation or the other person. This can be especially hard if you're a natural caretaker or problem solver. You might feel responsible for the other person's happiness or success, or you might worry that if you're not there to help them, something terrible will happen. But the reality is you can't control anyone else's life or choices. You can offer support and guidance, but ultimately they have to take responsibility for their own actions and consequences. Trying to control the situation will only lead to frustration and resentment on both sides. The fifth and final rule is to give yourself permission to move on. This doesn't necessarily mean ending the relationship altogether, although in some cases that might be necessary. What it means is allowing yourself to let go of the emotional attachment and create a new dynamic that works better for you. This might involve spending less time together, being less emotionally invested, or even just changing the way you think about the relationship. It's okay to grieve the loss of what you had, but don't let that grief hold you back from creating something new and better. Now, I know that emotionally detaching from someone is easier said than done. It can be a long and difficult process, especially if you have a history with that person or if you're prone to people pleasing. But I promise you, it's worth it. When you learn how to set healthy boundaries and prioritize your own well-being, you free yourself up to create more fulfilling relationships and pursue your own dreams. You stop wasting energy on people and situations that don't serve you and start investing in the things that truly matter to you. So if you're struggling to emotionally detach from someone right now, I want you to know that you're not alone. It's a common challenge that many of us face at some point in our lives. But I also want you to know that you have the strength and the wisdom within you to handle it with grace and resilience. Start by taking small steps. Set one boundary at a time. Practice self-care every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Surround yourself with people who support and encourage you. And most importantly, be patient and compassionate with yourself. Remember, emotionally detaching from someone doesn't mean you're heartless or uncaring. It means you're wise enough to know when a relationship is no longer serving you and brave enough to do something about it. It means you value yourself enough to create the kind of life and connections that truly nourish and inspire you. So keep going, keep learning and growing and trusting yourself, and know that on the other side of this challenge lies a whole world of possibility and joy. You've got this, and you deserve nothing less than the very best. Now, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that emotionally detaching from someone can be incredibly painful, especially if it's someone you care about deeply. It's natural to feel a sense of loss or grief, even if you know it's the right thing to do. But here's the thing, that pain is a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're breaking free from old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve you. It's a sign that you're creating space for something new and better to come into your life. So don't run from the pain. Don't try to numb it or avoid it. Instead, lean into it. Allow yourself to feel it fully without judgment or resistance. Cry if you need to. Scream into a pillow. Write in a journal. Do whatever you need to do to express and release those emotions in a healthy way. And then, when you're ready, start to focus on the future. Start to imagine what kind of life you want to create for yourself and what kind of relationships you want to attract. Use the pain as fuel to propel you forward towards your deepest desires and highest potential. Because here's the thing, you are not defined by your past relationships or experiences. You are not limited by the choices you've made or the challenges you face. You have the power to create your own reality, to shape your own destiny, and to choose who you want to be in this world. So don't let anyone else's negativity or dysfunction hold you back. Don't let your own fears or doubts keep you stuck in a cycle of unhealthy attachments. Trust your instincts, honor your boundaries, and keep moving forward one step at a time. And remember, you are never alone on this journey. There are people out there who will love and support you unconditionally, who will celebrate your successes and comfort you in your failures. Seek them out. Surround yourself with them. Let them remind you of your own strengths and beauty, even when you can't see it yourself. Because at the end of the day, emotionally detaching from someone is not about rejecting love or connection. It's about creating space for the right kind of love and connection to enter your life. It's about saying yes to yourself, yes to your dreams, and yes to the incredible possibilities that lie ahead. So keep going, my friend. Keep growing and learning and evolving. Keep opening your heart to the magic and mystery of this beautiful, messy, complicated world we live in. And know that whatever challenges you face, whatever obstacles you encounter, you have the resilience and the courage to overcome them and to create a life that truly lights you up from the inside out. In the end, emotionally detaching from someone is not about losing something or someone. It's about gaining something, a deeper sense of self, a clearer vision of what you want, and a greater capacity for true, authentic, soul-level connection. It's about learning to love yourself first so that you can love others more fully and freely. It's about creating boundaries that protect your energy and your peace so that you can show up in the world as your best and brightest self. And it's about trusting the journey, even when it feels hard or scary or uncertain. Because the truth is, life is too short to stay stuck in relationships or situations that don't truly nourish and inspire us. We all deserve to feel seen, heard, and valued for who we are. We all deserve to have relationships that uplift us, challenge us, and help us grow into the fullest expression of ourselves. So if you're in the process of emotionally detaching from someone right now, I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for being brave enough to listen to your own heart, even when it's telling you something difficult or painful. I'm proud of you for being willing to let go of what no longer serves you, even when it feels scary or uncertain. And I'm proud of you for taking a stand for your own happiness and well-being, even when the world around you might not understand or support your choices. Keep going, my friend. Keep trusting yourself. Keep honoring your own needs and desires, and keep moving forward with courage and conviction. Because on the other side of this challenge lies a whole new world, a possibility, a world where you get to create the kind of life and love that truly sets your soul on fire. And remember, no matter what happens, no matter how hard things get, you are never alone. You are surrounded by a universe that loves you, supports you, and wants to see you thrive. You are connected to a power and a presence that is greater than any obstacle or challenge you could ever face. So lean into that power. Trust in that presence, and know that whatever happens, you have the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience to handle it with grace and ease. You've got this, my friend, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. It's important to remember that healing is not a linear process. There will be days when you feel strong and empowered, and there will be days when you feel sad, angry, or confused. There will be moments when you question your decision, and moments when you feel more certain than ever that you're doing the right thing. And that's okay. That's all part of the process. The key is to keep moving forward, even when it feels hard or uncomfortable. To keep showing up for yourself, even when you don't feel like it. And to keep believing in your own worth and value, even when others might try to convince you otherwise. One of the most important things you can do as you navigate this process is to surround yourself with a strong support system. This might include friends, family members, or even a therapist or counselor who can offer guidance and perspective. It's okay to lean on others for help and support when you need it. In fact, it's a sign of strength and courage to do so. But it's also important to remember that your healing is ultimately up to you. No one else can do the work for you, and no one else can give you the answers you seek. You have to be willing to look within yourself, to confront your own fears and doubts, and to take responsibility for your own growth and transformation. This might involve some deep soul searching and self-reflection. It might require you to confront some painful truths about yourself or your past relationships. It might mean letting go of old stories or beliefs that no longer serve you and embracing new ones that empower and inspire you. But through it all, remember this: you are worthy of love, respect, and happiness. You deserve to be treated with kindness, compassion, and understanding. And you have the power within you to create the kind of life and relationships that truly fulfill you, no matter what anyone else might say or do. So keep going. Keep learning and growing and evolving. Keep surrounding yourself with people and experiences that lift you up and make you feel alive. And most importantly, keep believing in yourself and your own inherent worth and value. Because the truth is, emotionally detaching from someone is not just about letting go of them. It's about making space for something new and better to come into your life. It's about creating room for growth, for joy, for love, and for all the incredible possibilities that await you on the other side of this challenge. And as you do this work, as you continue to heal and transform and evolve, remember that you are not alone. Remember that there are countless others who have walked this path before you, who have faced their own struggles and challenges and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever. Draw strength from their stories, learn from their examples, and know that whatever happens, whatever challenges you face, you have the power within you to overcome them and to create a life that truly lights you up from the inside out. So keep going, my friend. Keep shining your light, keep spreading your love, and keep believing in the incredible power and potential that lies within you. The world needs your unique gifts and talents, and there is so much beauty and magic waiting for you on the other side of this journey. Trust the process. Trust yourself. And know that no matter what happens, you are always, always worthy of the very best that life has to offer. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. As you continue to emotionally detach from someone, it's important to remember that this process is not about erasing them from your life entirely. It's not about pretending they never existed or denying the impact they had on you. Rather, it's about finding a new way to relate to them, one that honors your own needs and boundaries while still allowing for compassion and understanding. This might mean setting clear limits on how much time you spend together or what topics you're willing to discuss. It might mean learning to communicate in a more assertive and self-protective way. Or it might mean simply changing the way you think about the relationship and the role it plays in your life. Whatever form it takes, remember that emotionally detaching from someone is ultimately a way of caring for yourself. It's about recognizing that your own well-being and happiness matter, and that you have the right to prioritize them in your life. And as you do this, as you learn to put yourself first and set healthy boundaries, you might find that other areas of your life start to shift and change as well. You might find yourself attracting new people and opportunities that align with your values and goals. You might discover new passions or interests that light you up from the inside out. And you might start to see yourself in a whole new light as someone who is strong, capable, and deserving of all the love and joy that life has to offer. So keep going, keep exploring and experimenting and taking risks. Keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and embracing new challenges and adventures. And above all, keep believing in yourself and your own inherent worth and value. Because the truth is, emotionally detaching from someone is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a whole new chapter. A chapter where you get to be the hero of your own journey, the creator of your own destiny, and the architect of your own happiness. And as you step into this new chapter, remember that you are not defined by your past relationships or experiences. You are not limited by the opinions or expectations of others. You are a unique and precious soul with your own special gifts and talents to offer the world. So let your light shine. Let your voice be heard. And let your heart lead the way even when the path ahead feels uncertain or unclear. Trust that the universe has your back and that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. And above all, remember this: you are loved, you are valued, and you are worthy of all the incredible blessings that life has in store for you. So keep going, my friend. Keep growing and learning and evolving. And know that no matter what happens, you have the strength, the courage, and the resilience to handle it with grace and ease. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.
Millions of people. Now, mind you, I was flunked out of college. I'm thinking about joining the Army. I didn't know what I was going to do, and she's telling me I'm going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, I have traveled the world, and I have spoke to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life, and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done and stick with God. Number 2, fail big. That's right. Fail big. Today's the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress. Number 3, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I don't care how much money you make, you can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it. They got robbed. That's all they got. You can't take it with you. And it's not how much you have. It's what you do with what you have. We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses, some teachers. Yeah, okay. Some preachers. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Well, one or two things, but nothing's better than that. Not jewelry, not big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is, in helping others. That's where the success is, in helping others. Finally, I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. It's how I live my life. That's why I am. One of the reasons why I am today. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. I got 3 reasons, and then you can pick up your iPhones. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it, because it's inevitable. And I should know. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought, except for the fact that I can't sing. So I'm in the wings. I'm about to go on stage, but the guy in front of me, he's singing like Pavarotti. He's just, and he's just going on and on and on. And I'm just shrinking. I'm getting smaller and smaller. So they say, oh, thank you very much, and you'll be hearing from us. So I come out with my little sheet music, and it was Just My Imagination by the Temptations. That's what I came up with. So I hand it to the accompanist, and she looks at it and looks at me and looks out at the director and was like, all right. So I start, I'm going to sing. I'm like, it's just my imagination once again, and then coming away with me. And I'm not saying anything, so I'm thinking I'm getting better. So I start getting into it. It was just my imagination. Running. They say, oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Washington. Thank you. So I assumed I didn't get the job. But the next part of the audition, he called me back. The next part of the audition is the acting part of the audition. So I'm like, hey, okay, maybe I can't sing, but I know I can act. So they pair me with this guy, and again, I didn't know about musical theater. And musical theater is big, so they can reach everyone all the way in the back of the stadium. And I'm more from a realistic, naturalistic kind of acting where you actually talk to the person next to you. So I don't know what my line was. My line was, well, hand me the cup. And his line was, well, I will hand you the cup, my dear. The cup will be there to be handed to you. I said, oh, okay. Well, should I give you the cup back? Oh, yes, you should give it back to me because you know that is my cup and it should be given back to me. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. And I didn't have to sing, by the way. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, and I'll pick up the pace, the point is every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? You've invested a lot in your education, and people have invested in you. And let me tell you, the world needs your talents. Man, does it ever. I just got back from Africa like 2 days ago, so if I'm rambling on, it's because I'm jet lagged. I just got back from South Africa. It's a beautiful country, but there are places there with terrible poverty that need help. And Africa is just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East needs your help. Japan needs your help. Alabama needs your help. Tennessee needs your help. Louisiana needs your help. Philadelphia needs your help. The world needs a lot, and we need it from you. We really do. We need it from you young people. I mean, I'm not speaking for the rest of us up here, but I know I'm getting a little grayer. We need it from you, the young people, because remember this. So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. Because remember this. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it, and all they got was robbed. So the question is, what are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors. Some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money. Some of you have patience. Some of you have kindness. Some of you have love. Some of you have the gift of long suffering. Whatever it is, whatever your gift is, what are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphosis. I still can't say it. Cardiac Cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it, I couldn't say it, I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. Yeah, down. I was a 1.8 GPA one semester, and the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror. And every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me. And she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. First of all, she said, "Somebody give me a piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper." She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." Now, mind you, I'm 20 years old. I'm flunked out of school. In fact, like a wise ass, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she's got something in that crystal ball about me getting back into school next fall. But maybe she was on to something, because later that summer, while working as a counselor at a YMCA camp in Connecticut, we put on a talent show for the campers. And after the show, another counselor came up to me and asked, "Have you ever thought about acting? You're good at that." So when I got back to Fordham that fall, I got in and I changed my major once again for the last time. And in the years that followed, just as that woman prophesied, I have traveled the world and I have spoken to millions of people through my movies. Millions who up till this day couldn't see me, who up till this day I couldn't see while I was talking to them, and they couldn't see me. They could only see the movie. They couldn't see the real me. But I see you today, and I'm encouraged by what I see, and I'm strengthened by what I see, and I love what I see. One more page, and I'll shut up. Let me conclude with this one final point, and actually the president kind of brought it up. It has to do with the movie Philadelphia. She stole my material. Many years ago, I did this movie called Philadelphia. We filmed some of the scenes right here on campus. Philadelphia came out in 1993. Most of you were probably still in diapers. Some of the professors, too. But that cracked me up. But it was a good movie. Rent it on, Netflix. It's a good movie. Rent it. I get 23 cents every time you rent it. Please, rent it. True. Parents up there, rent it. Netflix, please. Tell your friends, too. It's about a man played by Tom Hanks who's fired from his law firm because he has AIDS. He wants to sue the firm, but no one's willing to represent him until a homophobic ambulance chaser lawyer, played by yours truly, takes on the case. In a way, if you watch the movie, you'll see everything I'm talking about today. You'll see what I mean about taking risk or being willing to fail. Because taking risk is not just about going for a job. It's also about knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's about being open to people and to ideas. In the course of the film, the character I play begins to take small steps, small risks. He very, very, very slowly begins to overcome his fears. And I feel ultimately his heart becomes flooded with love. And I can't think of a better message as we send you off today. To not only take risks, but to be open to life, to accept new views, and to be open to new opinions, to be willing to speak at a commencement at one of the best universities in the country, even though you're scared stiff. While it may be frightening, it will also be rewarding. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. So members of the class of 2011, this is your mission. When you leave the friendly confines of Philly, never be discouraged, never hold back, give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, and remember this, fall forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple question. How often do we find ourselves starting something only to stop when it gets tough? How many dreams have you abandoned? How many goals left unfulfilled because you couldn't stay consistent? I'm here to tell you today that the difference between success and failure isn't talent. It's not luck, it's consistency. The willingness to show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. We've all been there. You're excited in the beginning, fueled by motivation and enthusiasm, but then the grind begins. Life gets in the way, obstacles come up. And what do? We step back, we pause. We tell ourselves we'll get back to it when we have more energy or when things calm down. But let me tell you something, that day may never come if you keep waiting for the perfect moment. The secret is to force yourself to be consistent, even when it's uncomfortable. Consistency is more powerful than motivation, and that's a truth you need to embed deep into your core if you ever want to reach the pinnacle of your potential. Motivation is like a spark. It's bright, it's exciting, and it gets things moving. But just like any flame, it dies down, and what you're left with is either a pile of ash or a steady, smoldering fire that can keep burning even when the winds pick up. That steady fire, that's what consistency is. It's not flashy, but it's reliable, and in the end, it's what will carry you across the finish line when everyone else is burned out. You see, motivation is like a mood. It comes and goes. There will be days you wake up and feel unstoppable. You'll leap out of bed ready to tackle the day full of energy and drive. But let's be honest, that's not every day. Most days you wake up with a list of excuses as long as your arm. You'll be tired, you'll be sore. Maybe the weather's bad, maybe you had a rough night's sleep. Whatever it is, on those days, motivation is nowhere to be found. It abandons you right when you need it the most. That's why you can't rely on it. You can't wait for the stars to align and for everything to feel perfect, because, let's face it, life doesn't work like that. Things will always get in the way, and if you let them, you'll be stuck in a cycle of waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, or the perfect spark to get moving. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care if you're feeling tired or stressed or if the weather is bad. Consistency says, I don't care how you feel today, we're doing this anyway. And that's where the magic happens, because the moment you stop relying on motivation and start building consistency, you become unstoppable. It's like flipping a switch in your mind. You shift from waiting for things to feel right to making things right through sheer willpower and discipline. It's not about being in the mood to do the work, it's about making the work a non-negotiable part of your life. Think about it for a second. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness in their field. Athletes, artists, business leaders, what do they all have in common? It's not that they're always motivated. No, it's that they've mastered the art of showing up day in and day out, no matter what. They've made consistency their greatest ally, and that's why they're at the top. It's not that they don't face obstacles or challenges. They do, just like everyone else. The difference is they've trained themselves to push through those tough moments, to keep going when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when everyone else would rather quit. That's the power of consistency. It builds habits. And once you've developed those habits, the work becomes automatic. It's no longer about how you feel in the moment. It's about staying true to the commitment you made to yourself. When you've been consistent for long enough, skipping a workout or taking a day off doesn't feel like a relief. It feels wrong. It feels like you're betraying yourself, because this habit has become a part of who you are. That's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. The ones who succeed have woven consistency into the fabric of their lives. They've made it a part of their identity. But make no mistake, building that level of consistency takes time. It takes effort. It takes discipline. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. No one's going to applaud you for getting up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym or for staying late at the office to finish a project. But that's okay, because discipline isn't about recognition. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether anyone's watching or not. Discipline is the muscle that powers consistency, and like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. The more you show up, the easier it becomes to keep showing up. And let's talk about that for a moment. Showing up, that's half the battle. Most people quit before they even begin. They talk themselves out of it before they've had a chance to make progress. They let their feelings dictate their actions. But you have to be different. You have to show up even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, because those are the moments that matter the most. Those are the moments that separate the average from the exceptional. It's easy to show up when you're excited, when everything's going your way, when the motivation is high. But can you show up when things aren't going your way? Can you show up when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when you're tired and frustrated? That's the true test. And when you pass that test, when you show up consistently day after day, you start to build something incredible. You start to build momentum. Each small action builds on the last, and before you know it, you've created a wave of progress that carries you forward. And that momentum, that's powerful. It pushes you through the tough days. It makes it easier to keep going, because you've already invested so much time and effort that stopping now feels like a betrayal of everything you've worked for. But here's the thing about consistency. It's not just about putting in the time. It's about putting in the right kind of time. It's about being intentional with your actions. Just going through the motions isn't enough. You have to bring focus and energy to what you're doing, even on the days when it feels like a grind. Consistency isn't about being robotic. It's about being relentless. It's about constantly striving to improve, to get a little better each day, even when it feels like you're not making progress. And that's another important point. Consistency doesn't always yield immediate results. In fact, most of the time, the results come much later. It's like planting seeds. You don't see the fruit right away, but if you keep tending to the soil, keep watering, keep nurturing, eventually you'll have a garden full of abundance. But that only happens if you're patient enough to wait for the harvest. Too many people give up right before they would have seen the results. They plant the seeds, but when they don't see growth right away, they walk away. Don't be that person. Understand that consistency is a long game. It's not about quick wins, it's about sustained effort over time. And that's why consistency is more powerful than motivation. Motivation might get you started, but it's consistency that keeps you going. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The people who achieve their goals aren't the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who show up day after day, even when they don't want to. They're the ones who keep pushing, even when it's hard. They're the ones who've built consistency into their lives, and because of that, they've created habits that carry them through the toughest of times. So when the excitement fades, when the motivation dies down, and when you're tempted to quit, remember this, it's not about how you feel in the moment, it's about staying true to the commitment you made to yourself. It's about building the discipline to keep showing up even when you don't want to, because in the end, that's what will carry you to success. We often convince ourselves that in order to achieve greatness, we must perform grand, extraordinary acts. We trick ourselves into believing that monumental leaps are the only way to move forward, that if we don't make a huge splash, then what we're doing doesn't matter. But this mentality can be devastating. It's like standing at the base of a mountain, looking up at the peak and feeling paralyzed by the sheer size of it. The enormity of the task ahead makes it feel impossible to even start. So we hesitate, we wait, we make excuses, we allow fear and doubt to grip our hearts because in our minds we've already failed before we've even taken the first step out. But here's the truth, you need to grab hold of success is not found in those massive life-changing moments. No, it's built in the small daily actions that seem inconsequential in the moment. It's not about giant leaps, it's about those tiny incremental steps that seem too small to matter, but over time they add up to something remarkable. Too many people get caught up in waiting for that perfect moment, for that big break, for that stroke of luck to propel them forward. But if you spend your life waiting for those monumental moments, you'll be standing still forever. What you have to understand is that small steps, those little moves that seem like they aren't making a difference are what lead to big results. Imagine for a second that you are climbing that mountain not by running or leaping, but by placing one foot in front of the other. With every step, no matter how small, you get a little higher, a little closer to the summit. You can't always see how much progress you're making day by day. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck in the same place, but when you look back after months or years of consistent effort, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. The key is consistency. It's not about making one big effort and hoping it carries you through to the end. It's about showing up every single day, putting in the work, even when it feels like nothing's happening. It's like a seed planted in the ground. For days, weeks, maybe even months, you won't see anything sprouting. You'll water it, you'll nurture it, but it seems like nothing is growing. But below the surface, where you can't see, there's movement. Roots are stretching deep into the soil, getting ready to support the growth that's about to burst forth. That's what small steps are like. You don't always see the results immediately, but that doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Think about the stories of successful people you admire. They didn't wake up one day at the top of their game. They didn't suddenly become the best in their field overnight. They took small, deliberate steps every day, often for years, before they saw the big results that everyone else notices. And that's the thing, people only see the end result. They see the glory, the accolades, the fame, the fortune. What they don't see are the countless hours of hard work, the sacrifices, the setbacks, the failures that paved the way for that success. Those small steps may not be glamorous. In fact, they often feel tedious. It's not always fun to wake up early, to stay late, to do the same thing day in and day out. But that's where the magic happens. It's in the repetition, in the grind that you build momentum. One step leads to another, and before you know it, you've created a habit, a rhythm. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but as it keeps moving, it gathers more and more snow until it's massive and unstoppable. That's what happens when you commit to taking small steps. Too many people give up because they don't see immediate results. They want the shortcut. They want the quick fix. But the truth is, anything worth having takes time. Real, lasting success isn't built on a foundation of shortcuts. It's built on persistence, on resilience, on the willingness to keep going when it feels like you're not making any progress. Because here's the thing, small steps lead to big results, but only if you keep taking them. The minute you stop, you lose that momentum and you're back at square one. It's easy to get discouraged when you're not seeing immediate returns on your effort. It's tempting to think, what's the point? But that's the moment when you need to dig deep. That's the moment when you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. You didn't begin this journey because it was easy. You started because you had a goal, a vision of where you wanted to be. And that vision doesn't come to life by sitting back and waiting for something to happen. It comes to life through action, small, consistent action. You have to embrace the process. You have to fall in love with the journey, not just the destination, because the journey is where you grow. The journey is where you're tested, where you learn what you're truly capable of. Each small step is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you can do this, that you have what it takes. And when the big results finally come, and you'll look back and realize that it wasn't one giant leap that got you there. It was the accumulation of all those small steps, each one building on the last, creating a path that led you to your goal. And let me tell you something else, those small steps, they build character, they teach you discipline, they teach you patience, they force you to develop a work ethic that will serve you for the rest of your life. Because if you can commit to the small steps, if you can show up every day and put in the effort, no matter how small, then there is nothing you can't achieve. Success isn't about luck, it's about preparation meeting opportunity. And preparation happens in the small moments, in the daily grind, in the tiny, seemingly insignificant steps you take when no one is watching. So don't underestimate the power of those small steps. Don't get discouraged when progress feels slow, because every step you take is moving you closer to your goal. Every step is building momentum. Every step is laying the foundation for the big results that are coming your way. You might not be able to see the finish line yet, but trust that it's there. And the only way you're going to reach it is by taking one step at a time. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the stars to align or for someone to give you permission to start. Take that first step today, no matter how small it may seem. And then take another one tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Keep moving forward, keep building, keep striving. Because when you do, you'll look back one day and realize that those small steps have led to something far greater than you ever imagined. Big results don't come from big leaps, they come from small, steady, consistent effort. And if you commit to that, if you commit to taking those small steps every day, then success isn't just possible, it's inevitable. When you hit that wall, the one where your body aches, your mind is exhausted, and every fiber of your being is telling you to quit, what do? That wall isn't just physical exhaustion or mental fatigue, it's something much deeper. It's the embodiment of every doubt, every fear, and every excuse that's ever held you back. It whispers in your ear, you can't do this, you're not strong enough, it's too hard. That's the voice of resistance. And that resistance, it's a universal force. Every person who has ever tried to achieve greatness has faced it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, not luck, but the ability to break through that wall when it stands tall in front of you. There's no avoiding it. The wall will come. It might be when you're chasing a dream that feels too big, when you're working on a project that's overwhelming, or when life just seems to throw more at you than you can handle. But if you want something bad enough, you've got to dig deep and confront that wall head on. And let me tell you, breaking through is not about brute strength, it's about resilience, grit, and the willingness to keep going even when everything inside you is screaming to stop. That wall is made of doubts. Every what if that has ever crossed your mind stacks up like bricks in front of you. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if they're right and I don't have what it takes? Doubts can paralyze you, can make you turn around and walk away before you've even tried. But here's the thing, those doubts are not real. They are illusions, shadows of your insecurities, reflections of your fear. And fear is temporary. The pain of failing might sting, but it fades. The regret of never trying, that lingers. And let's talk about fear for a moment. Fear is the most insidious part of that wall. It will masquerade as caution, as common sense, as logic. It will tell you that you shouldn't take that risk, that you're not ready, that there's too much to lose. But fear has one job: to keep you in your comfort zone. And your comfort zone, that's the very thing holding you back. Growth, progress, and success, none of these things happen in comfort. They happen when you step outside of it, when you face that fear head on and say, not today. And then there are the excuses. Oh, the excuses, I'm too tired, I don't have time, I'll do it tomorrow. We're all guilty of making them. Excuses are easy, convenient, and comfortable. They let you off the hook, make it okay to stop, to take it easy. But excuses are just lies we tell ourselves to justify not doing the hard work. And when you allow excuses to build up, they become part of that wall, making it taller, thicker, harder to break through. Now you might be thinking, okay, I get it, the wall is there, but how do I break through? The answer is simple but not easy: consistency. Consistency is the hammer that breaks down that wall. Not one swing, not two, but day after day, hit after day, hit after hit. Showing up even when you don't want to. Showing up when it's hard, when it's painful, when you're tired, when you'd rather do anything else. That's how you break through. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not the highlight reel that people see. It's not the big moments of victory. It's the grind, the sweat, the perseverance when no one is watching. It's the alarm going off at 5 a.m. and you dragging yourself out of bed when all you want to do is hit snooze. It's staying late, putting in the extra hours when you'd rather be relaxing. It's making the choice day after day to push a little harder, to go a little further, to keep going even when there's no immediate reward in sight. And let me tell you something else: consistency is not just about effort, it's about belief. You have to believe that the wall can be broken, because if you don't, you've already lost. If you approach that wall thinking it's too high, too strong, too tough to break through, then it will be. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have, and what you believe will shape your reality. If you believe you can break through, you will. If you don't, you'll turn around at the first sign of resistance. When that voice in your head gets loud, and you have to make a choice. Are you going to listen to it, or are you going to fight back? Because that voice is just another part of the wall. It's your insecurities, your fears, your excuses trying to convince you that it's okay to stop. But your commitment, your desire, your hunger for more, those have to be louder. You have to drown out that voice with the sound of your own determination. Every time you push through the pain, every time you go beyond what you thought you were capable of, you chip away at that wall. And every time you do, you come out stronger on the other side. You start to realize that the wall isn't as solid as it seemed. It's not as impenetrable as you thought. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome makes that wall weaker, makes you stronger. And one day you'll look back and realize that the wall wasn't really there at all. It was just an illusion, a barrier you put up in your own mind that you see. The wall is a test. It's there to see how bad you really want it. To see if you're willing to go the distance, to endure the struggle, to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to quit. Most people will stop at the wall. They'll make their excuses, let their fears take over and walk away. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be standing in front of that wall contemplating how to break through it. You'd already have turned around, but you haven't. And that's the first step. So when you hit that wall, and you will remember this, it's not there to stop you. It's there to challenge you. It's there to see how much you're willing to fight for your dreams, for your goals, for your future. And if you want it bad enough, if you're willing to be consistent, to push past the pain, to fight through the fear, then that wall will crumble. It has no choice but to fall when faced with unwavering commitment. The pain you feel, the struggle you endure, it's temporary. It's the price of progress, the cost of greatness. But the pride, the satisfaction, the fulfillment you'll feel when you break through that wall, made that last. That's what makes it all worth it. So don't stop. Don't turn around. Don't let that wall be the end of your journey. Break through it. Show the world, and more importantly, show yourself that you have what it takes to go the distance. Because on the other side of that wall is everything you've ever wanted. When we think about success, it's easy to get caught up in the final image, the big goal, the reward at the end. We dream about what it feels like to finally reach the pinnacle, to stand at the top and look down at all the hard work behind us. It's natural to want to envision that success, the promotion, the recognition, the financial security, the sense of accomplishment. That outcome is what drives so many of us to wake up each morning and put in the effort. It's the light at the end of the tunnel that keeps us going. But there's a fundamental truth that too many of us forget: the outcome isn't everything. In fact, it's just a small part of the story. What truly matters, what shapes you, what prepares you for the outcome is the process. You see, we are trained to chase outcomes. From a young age, we're taught to think about the reward, getting the A on a test, winning a trophy, landing a good job, or reaching a particular milestone in life. But here's the thing: if you're only focused on the result, you're missing the point. You're ignoring the most crucial part of success, the journey that gets you there. The journey is where the growth happens. It's where the lessons are learned, the character is built, and the real work takes place. It's easy to get impatient. We live in a world where everything is about instant gratification. We want things now. We want the shortcuts, the hacks, the quick solutions to our problems. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts to real success. There is no fast track to greatness. The process cannot be bypassed. It's the grind, the day-to-day effort, the consistency that builds the foundation for success. The outcome may seem glamorous, but it is the process that truly transforms you. Think about it this way: the outcome is a moment, a brief snapshot in time. It's the moment when you achieve what you set out to do. But that moment is fleeting. It passes quickly, and once it's gone, you're left with something far more lasting: the process. The process is the long stretch, the journey filled with ups and downs, failures and breakthroughs. It's the sweat, the struggle, the late nights and the early mornings. It's the sacrifices you make, the hard decisions, and the challenges you overcome. And that process is where you find your true strength. That's where you develop the skills, the mindset, and the resilience to not only achieve success, but to sustain it. Success doesn't just come to those who want it. It comes to those who are willing to put in the work day in and day out, even when the result seems far off, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. It's easy to stay motivated when the goal is within reach. But what about when the goal feels miles away? What about when you're not seeing the progress you expected? That's when the process becomes critical. That's when you have to dig deep and remind yourself that it's not just about the end result. It's about falling in love with the process, trusting that if you continue to show up, continue to put in the work, the outcome will eventually take care of itself. Too often people get discouraged because they're not seeing immediate results. They work hard for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but when the outcome doesn't appear right away, they give up. They think they failed because the result isn't there yet. But success doesn't work on a timeline that you can predict. It requires patience. It requires faith in the process, even when you can't see the finish line. And that's where consistency comes in. Consistency forces you to commit to the process, to show up every single day, regardless of whether or not the outcome is in sight. It's about putting one foot in front of the other, even when the road is long and the path is uncertain. It's about doing the right things over and over again, trusting that those small daily actions will eventually lead to the results you desire. Consistency isn't glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's the key to success. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. When you focus on the process, you allow yourself to grow in ways you never imagined. You become stronger, more disciplined, more resilient. You develop habits that will serve you for a lifetime. You learn to appreciate the small wins, the progress that comes from simply showing up and putting in the effort. You begin to understand that the outcome is just a byproduct of the process. It's the process that molds you, that shapes your character, that teaches you the lessons you need to succeed. The process is where the real work happens. It's where you discover what you're truly made of. It's where you find your grit, your determination, your drive. And when you commit to the process, you become unstoppable. Because once you've learned to love the journey, once you've embraced the daily grind, there's nothing that can stand in your way. The outcome is no longer your sole focus. It becomes secondary. What matters is that you're putting in the work, that you're staying consistent, that you're doing what needs to be done, regardless of whether or not anyone else sees it. And that's the beauty of the process. It's often invisible. People don't see the hours you put in behind the scenes. They don't see the sacrifices you make, the struggles you endure. They only see the outcome, the moment of success. But you know that it's the process that got you there. You know that without the countless hours of effort, without the setbacks and the failures, the outcome would never have been possible. And that knowledge gives you a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment that goes far beyond the result. So the next time you find yourself getting caught up in the outcome, take a step back. Remind yourself that the process is where the magic happens. The process is where you become the person capable of achieving that outcome. The process is what prepares you for success, what equips you with the tools you need to not only reach your goal, but to thrive once you've achieved it. You can't control every outcome. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things don't go the way we planned. But what you can control is your effort, your dedication, your consistency. You can control how you show up every day, how you approach the process. And when you focus on the process, when you fall in love with the journey, the results will come. They may not come when you expect them, and they may not look exactly how you envisioned, but they will come. And when they do, you'll be ready not just because you wanted the outcome, but because you embraced the process that got you there. So don't chase the result. Don't get so focused on the outcome that you lose sight of the journey. Chase the habit of being consistent. Chase the process, because it's the process that transforms you, that prepares you, that shapes you into the person you're meant to be. And when you fall in love with the process, when you commit to the journey, the outcome will take care of itself. Accountability is a word that cuts through the noise. It's not glamorous or exciting, but it's necessary. Without it, dreams remain just that, dreams. You see, we all have moments where we set lofty goals and feel inspired to change our lives. We write them down, map out the plan, and make promises to ourselves. But then life gets in the way. Distractions, laziness, excuses, they all creep in. Before we know it, those goals we were once so passionate about seem distant, buried under a pile of tomorrows that never came. And why? Because when no one is watching, it's easy to let things slide. It's easy to convince yourself that skipping a day, missing a step doesn't really matter. But here's the truth, it matters more than you can imagine. Each day, each moment is a building block. When you skip today, when you compromise just a little bit, it might feel like a minor misstep. But it's not. Today becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes the next day. Before long, you've lost the momentum, and what started as a small slip has turned into a full-blown retreat from your goals. You've lost ground, not because you couldn't achieve what you set out to do, but because you didn't hold yourself accountable. That's the weight of accountability. It's the invisible force that keeps you in line, that pushes you when no one else is around, and that ensures you're moving forward, even when it's hard. It's easy to say you'll stay committed, but it's accountability that determines whether you'll actually do it. We've all been there, faced with the choice to push ourselves or take the easy way out. Maybe it's waking up at 5 a.m. for a workout. Maybe it's working late to finish that project or studying when you'd rather relax. In those moments, no one else will know if you skip out, if you let it slide, but you will know. And that's where accountability has to come from you. You have to hold yourself to the standard you've set. You have to decide that your goals, your dreams are worth more than the temporary comfort of giving up or making excuses. There's a reason why holding yourself accountable is hard. It's because it forces you to confront the truth. It forces you to look in the mirror and face the person responsible for where you are, the person staring back at you. It's easier to blame circumstances, to point fingers at things outside of your control, but deep down you know that it's on you. You control your actions, your discipline, your effort, and when you fall short, when you skip the work, it's on you. That kind of honesty is tough. But it's necessary if you ever want to be consistent, if you ever want to break through and achieve the things you've set out to do. To hold yourself accountable, you must set standards that you refuse to compromise on. These standards aren't negotiable. They are the line you draw in the sand, the point you won't cross. Whether it's getting up at a certain time, completing a specific task each day, or hitting a target, you set the bar and you don't let yourself fall below it. No excuses, no justifications. It doesn't matter how tired you are, how busy the day was, or how difficult things got, your standards are your guide, and you stay true to them. Writing your goals down is one of the most powerful ways to hold yourself accountable. When you write something down, it becomes real. It's not just a thought floating around in your mind, it's a concrete commitment you've made to yourself. Write them down, make them visible, and look at them every single day. Put them somewhere you can't ignore, on your mirror, your desk, your phone background, whatever it takes to keep them in front of you. Remind yourself daily why you're doing what you're doing. Goals lose power when you forget about them. They become just another thing on a long list of things you'll get to eventually. But when you see them every day, when you remind yourself of the reasons you started, those goals regain their urgency. They stop being something you'll get to later and become something you're working on now, in the present. But accountability isn't just about writing things down, it's about action. It's about surrounding yourself with people who will push you to stay on track, people who won't let you off the hook when you fall short. These are the people who care enough about you and your success to call you out when you're slipping. They are the ones who remind you of the standard you've set for yourself and push you to rise to it, even when you don't feel like it. We all need people like that in our lives because, let's face it, we're not always going to feel motivated. There will be days when you don't want to show up, when you're tempted to slack off. But having people in your corner who won't accept your excuses can make all the difference. The people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your level of accountability. If you're around people who make excuses, who justify mediocrity, it becomes easier to do the same. But if you're around people who push themselves, who set high standards and stick to them, it raises your game. You want to be around those who inspire you to stay disciplined, who remind you of your potential, and who won't let you settle for less than you're capable of. And here's the thing, it's not just about them holding you accountable, it's about you being accountable to them as well. It's about mutual respect and shared commitment. When you know others are counting on you to show up, it adds another layer of responsibility, and that's a powerful motivator. But the most important part of accountability is being honest with yourself. This is where it gets real. You have to look yourself in the mirror every single day and ask the tough question, did I do everything I could today to stay consistent? Did I honor the commitments I made to myself? And you have to answer honestly. If the answer is yes, great, keep going. But if the answer is no, don't make excuses. Don't rationalize or justify why you didn't. Own it. Take responsibility for the fact that you fell short, and then make a plan to do better tomorrow. This level of honesty is rare, but it's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. You can't lie to yourself and expect to succeed. You can't brush off your failures and expect to grow. When you hold yourself accountable, something powerful happens. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe in your ability to follow through, to stick to your word. And that belief is crucial. It's what gives you the confidence to take on bigger challenges, to set even higher goals, because you know you have the discipline to see them through. Accountability builds self-respect. It's a declaration that you value your word, that when you say you're going to do something, you mean it. That kind of integrity, that commitment to yourself, is what separates those who talk about their dreams from those who actually live them. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Accountability isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up day after day and doing the work even when it's hard. It's about holding yourself to the standard you set, refusing to let yourself off the hook, and pushing through when no one else is watching. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can make your dreams a reality is you. And that starts with holding yourself accountable every single day. Failure is not the enemy. It's not some insurmountable obstacle placed in your path to stop you from achieving your dreams. No, failure is a part of the journey, an integral piece of the puzzle that leads you to where you want to be. But here's the thing, most of us are terrified of it. We fear failure because we've been taught to avoid it, to see it as a reflection of our shortcomings, and that's where so many go wrong. The truth is, failure is one of your greatest teachers. But it only works its magic if you have the courage, the resilience, and the consistency to keep going in spite of it. Think about that for a moment. If you quit when things get tough, if you let every setback convince you that you're not good enough, how will you ever move forward? How will you ever learn? Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the same process. Every successful person, every person who stands at the pinnacle of their craft has faced failure. They've stumbled, fallen, and questioned themselves. The difference: they didn't stay down. They didn't let failure define who they were or what they were capable of. They embraced it, learned from it, and kept moving forward. Now, I know what you're thinking, easier said than done. Failure hurts, it stings, it can shake you to your core, make you question everything, and that's real. That pain, that frustration, that doubt, it's all real. But so is your ability to push through it. So is your capacity to rise after you've fallen. What we often forget is that failure is not final unless we quit. It's just a lesson, a stepping stone on the path to success. You only fail permanently when you decide to stop trying. When you fail, and trust me, you have two choices. You can either let it consume you, let it convince you that you're not good enough, or you can use it. You can turn that failure into fuel, something that drives you to be better, stronger, more determined than ever. The question is not whether you will fail, but how you will respond when you do. Will you let failure stop you, or will you let it sharpen you? Will you allow it to push you to new heights? There's power in failure, but only if you can see it for what it is, a tool. Too often we get caught up in the fear of failure, in the anxiety of messing up, that we forget the opportunities that lie within those moments. Failure forces you to face your weaknesses. It shines a light on the areas where you need to grow. And if you can stand tall in the face of failure, if you can keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned, you will emerge stronger. Consistency in the face of failure, that's the key. It's easy to stay motivated when things are going well, but what about when they aren't? What about when you've given your all and still come up short? Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when your consistency will be tested the most. But those are also the moments when you have the most to gain. If you can push through that, if you can stay committed, even when it feels like the world is against you, there is nothing you can't achieve. Failure is not a roadblock, it's a detour. And detours, while frustrating, often lead you to places you never imagined you'd go. Think about that. Think about the times in your life when something didn't work out the way you wanted it to, and now looking back, you realize it was a blessing in disguise. Failure is like that. It's only in the moment that it feels overwhelming, but with time, with perspective, you'll see that it was setting you up for something greater. The biggest mistake people make is letting failure define them. You are not your failures, you are not your mistakes, you are not the setbacks or the stumbles along the way. You are the person who gets back up, who keeps moving forward, who refuses to be defeated. That's who you are. And that's what success is about: persistence, resilience, consistency. Think about all the people you admire, the people who've accomplished incredible things. Do you think they got there without failing? Absolutely not. They failed over and over again. They faced rejection, disappointment, and doubt. But what they didn't do was quit. They didn't allow failure to become the narrative of their lives. They rewrote that narrative. Every time they fell, they got back up, dusted themselves off, and kept going. That's the difference. The people who make it in life, the people who achieve their dreams, are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail but refuse to stay down. They're the ones who take that failure, learn from it, and use it to come back stronger. Every failure is an opportunity to grow. It's a chance to learn something new, to adjust your approach, to become better than you were before. But you only get that opportunity if you stay in the game. If you give up at the first sign of trouble, you'll never know what you're capable of. Failure is only a temporary setback, not the end of the road. And if you can stay consistent, if you can keep pushing forward, you'll find that every setback is setting you up for a greater comeback. That's the power of failure. It doesn't have to be the end, unless you make it the end. You have the ability to turn every failure into a stepping stone, every setback into a setup for something bigger, something better. So the next time you face failure, don't run from it. Don't let it discourage you or make you question your worth. Instead, embrace it, use it, let it fuel you. Learn from it, adjust, and keep moving forward. Because failure, when you look at it the right way, is not the enemy. It's an ally. It's a part of the journey that leads you to success. Inconsistency in the face of failure is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's easy to keep going when everything is falling into place, but it takes real strength, real character to keep moving forward when things fall apart. That's where growth happens. That's where greatness is forged. And if you can stay the course, if you can be consistent, no matter how many times you fall, you'll look back one day and realize that failure wasn't something to be feared. It was something to be embraced. Because every failure brought you one step closer to where you were meant to be. Every failure was setting you up for something greater. Every failure was a part of your success story. Remember that the next time you stumble, don't let failure be the end of your story. Let it be the beginning of something extraordinary. Keep going, keep pushing, keep believing, and watch how failure turns into your greatest ally on the road to success. Consistency is the bridge between your dreams and reality. It's the key that unlocks the door to your potential, but it's not easy. It requires discipline, grit, and an unshakable belief that what you're working for is worth it. So from this day forward, make consistency your non-negotiable. Force yourself to show up. Force yourself to do the work, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. Because in the end, the people who succeed aren't the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who refuse to quit. Stay consistent. Stay committed. Your breakthrough is coming.